Now let's get into the tutorial itself. When you first visit StellarX for the first time, and then you select the option to interact with it using the Ledger hardware wallet, it'll point to a few key areas on the screen. The interface is quite nicely organized into a hierarchy. Next to the StellarX logo here, we've got the three major areas: markets, wallets, and activity. The next horizontal row displays sub-options based on which major area you're in. So markets shows the various category of assets, wallets at the moment just shows balances, and activity is either all your orders, token transfers, network history, or when you've deposited funds. For now, let's just go back to markets. The rest of the interface is reserved for displaying the exchange contents itself. One feature I personally found most valuable when playing around with this was the ability to add an asset to my favorites right inside the exchange. For example, when I click on the star icon next to the US dollar, right over here, if I click that, it will show up in the pinned section. The reason I've paused there for a second before clicking on the pinned section is the first time I did that, if you click on the pinned section too soon after you click the star, it doesn't actually register. So the pinned section is great because you end up with a personalized subset of assets that you are particularly interested in. Now, paying attention again to the second row here, where you've got in the market section the various types of assets. Where it says native tokens, if I click into this one, this is where the developers of a given asset have decided to build their token on the Stellar network itself. Now that's relevant because StellarX is not limited to native Stellar tokens. Because StellarX is a marketplace rather than an exchange, a whole network of third parties plug in and offer other assets for sale. So this is going to result in bonds, stocks, real estate, commodities, and crypto assets being listed in the future. So when you see fiat tethers and crypto tethers in this subcategory, that's not a reference to this tether stablecoin. It's simply a reference to the fact that the token you are trading in those sections on StellarX is a representation of the real asset held in reserve by an issuer. And the issuer is listed in the issuer column. That's what that is for. So ordinarily, an exchange would offer to hold custody of your assets and allow you to trade them on their exchange. StellarX is more like a marketplace where a network of exchanges are connected together. So sometimes, like in the case of the US dollar, there are multiple issuers, which is denoted by, if we go over to the fiat tethers, denoted by the plus icon that appears right next to the US dollar. And you can click on this to get more detail. Now don't quote me on this, but it looks like the system lists the issuer with the highest volume at the top by default, but it does give you the flexibility to trade on any market that you want. And there are some clear arbitrage opportunities here, allowing you to exploit like different prices for the same asset. Now to help with that, StellarX displays the price in XLM, which is the native Stellar currency, but it also lists the fiat currency that you selected at the top. I find that very helpful. Even more helpful than that is the instant search feature, which has like a real-time filtering system. So if I click on search here, let's go for Litecoin. So all I had to do is type light, and here it is. Click through to that, and then we get the classic exchange layout with a chart. We get an order form, we get the order book, the trade history, and it wouldn't be complete without a troll box. Now orders execute pretty quickly, and I say that because as far as I understand it, it happens directly on the network. So let me show you this in real time. I'm going to buy like 10 Stellars worth of Litecoin. So I'll just go to the order book here, make sure I'm on the buy side of the order form, look at the order book, find the lowest price available, click on it to set it in the order form. I'm going to enter 10 XLM, it's $2.61. Click buy Litecoin, sign and submit, verify on the Ledger hardware wallet, and that should go through in a couple of seconds. So there we go. And then on the right hand side, you see the recent trades updates pretty much instantaneously. So that's pretty quick, isn't it? I mean, that happened right on the network itself. Now, if I go over to the wallet screen, it should display it right in here. So here I have my Litecoin and the issuer and the rest of my Stellar. Also, if I go over to the activity screen, I'll see my completed orders right there. And all this is interactive, so if I want to go back to the Litecoin market, I can just click on this order. Go to the sell side, sell all of my Litecoin, click sell, sign the transaction, confirm it on the ledger, and away it goes. Within a few seconds, that will be sold. It's actually gone on the order book this time because the price changed in the meantime, but you get the idea. Now let's move on to deposits and withdrawals, particularly as it relates to fiat currencies. If I go over and hit the deposit button in the top right hand corner, which is clearly visible, then say I go for USD. Eventually this will give you many different organizations that you can deposit your US dollars with, but for now there's just this single one called Anchor USD. They will hold our US dollars and issue us with digital representations that are tradable on StellarX. Then just like casino chips, anyone in possession of those tokens can exchange them and have the US dollars transferred back to their bank. So this is ultimately how I see that you'll be able to buy and sell all assets on StellarX. As long as someone joins the marketplace and they have possession of that asset, then it will become available on StellarX. So that's the vision StellarX have for ending up with real estate, stocks, bonds, and all the rest of it. Better yet, you'll have instant access to those assets in every country. So Indian stocks, Japanese stocks, and so on. And once we get to that point, the playing field will have really been leveled, since the unbanked population of the world will have equal access to international financial markets on the same terms as everybody else. So a final note then before I close this off. At the moment, if I buy a tethered asset like Litecoin and I want to withdraw it, I may want to withdraw it to an actual Litecoin wallet. And at the moment, I have to do that directly on the issuer's website, as it says here when you click on withdraw. So this is what StellarX refers to as an off-chain account, because the Litecoin asset in particular was not built on the Stellar network. Now this is temporary, and they say here that they'll soon have the ability to withdraw these tethered assets right from within the StellarX interface, which will then make it a true one-stop shop. So in conclusion then, StellarX is starting to give BitShares a run for its money. Almost everything we just went through has been possible on BitShares for years, but without an interface as good as this and without hardware wallet support. StellarX is also free and refunds all Stellar network fees, so it really is free. The only fees that you might incur are those charged by these third-party issuers. It's not entirely trustless because of those third-party issuers when it comes to the tethered tokens and so on, but it is very decentralized. Transfers of tokens happen at the Stellar protocol level, meaning there's no smart contracts that can break. What stands above all else, though, is that StellarX is perfectly congruent with the mission and purpose with which the Stellar network was created. If you go to stellar.org and scroll down to the heading Finance with a Mission, it says their mission was to expand access to low-cost financial services to fight poverty and maximize individual potential. In my personal view, StellarX is doing a stellar job. So thanks very much for watching this video.